What is up, everyone? Ben here. It has been a while. I'm sure some of you thought that I gave up on the Impala project. Some of you might have thought that I died. There's really no telling. It has been quite a long time, more than a year since I've posted an update on the car. And a lot has gone on, but at the same time, not really much has gone on with this project whatsoever. I'm going to get you up to speed, and I'll input some things through the video, kind of show where we are, what we found out with the car, and then we will get into what we're going to do going forward. So the last video I posted on the Impala was trying to start it out in the rain. The Impala was in the old carport that I had for it. I did a video on the carport as well. Eventually we had a storm and that carport ended up being blown into my neighbor's yard. It damaged the side of the car and the back window in the process, and I ended up replacing it with a much more robust carport that is very hard to work out of. It's really too narrow and too small to work on the car inside, but it cost a lot of money and it keeps the car out of the weather, but it's not really good for anything else as far as working on the car in it. So in November of 2023, I had the Impala towed to a local mechanic. The carburetor that was on it, I had mentioned we were going to take that carb off and rebuild it. That just wasn't feasible. We tried, and it had water in it for so long, it was all pitted and corroded. So I had the car towed to a mechanic in November of 23. And the mechanic, he was a good guy. I would say he did a good job on the car. We're going to get into something in a little bit that was kind of an oversight, but he worked on the car for a few weeks and was able to get the car running and kind of driving. It moved for the most part under its own power when I got it back. When I did get it back, the mechanic told me, hey, it cranks, it runs, and it seems like it's got some kind of a top end knock. It's low on compression or low on power. Something's wrong, in the top end. So I was planning on having to actually rebuild the engine. What the mechanic did while the car was at his shop, he rewired the starter. Some of the wiring was getting very hot when you were starting the car and while the car was running. So he rewired all of that. He put a brand new HEI ignition distributor, plugs, wires, everything, all that stuff. We had done the plugs a while back, but he replaced everything and got it all properly wired up, and the car fired right up and ran. He also replaced the carburetor. That car had I believe it had an Edelbrock on it, and that's the carb that was ruined from having water in it, which now, as I film this, is how I actually think that the water got into the engine. Car probably sat outside and it rained, and the rust holes in the hood let the water go into the air cleaner, right down the carburetor into the motor. So that's what I think took place anyway. So it had an Edelbrock. I had some Hollies here, but I don't like Holly carburetors. I'm gonna sell these on eBay. Just to see if the engine was any good, because we knew it had water in it, just to see if it was any good, I ordered a Chinese knockoff Quadrajet, which a Quadrajet is what the car had on it when it was brand new. And there is now a Chinese reproduction of that carburetor. You can order it on Amazon or eBay. It's about 130 bucks. I threw one of those on there, had the mechanic throw it on there, and it actually works far better than it has any business working for $130. No tuning, nothing, right out of the box, fires up, it runs good. So when I got the car back, it obviously was still popping. It had some type of an issue. So I pulled the valve cover off and recorded a video, and I'm going to insert that video here. And as you can see, one of the rockers on the driver's side of the engine is not moving. So I loosened the rocker arms and started pulling out the push rods just in that general area, and here is what I found. That push rod had been turned into an S, and we figured that that probably happened when the engine still had water in it and we were trying to turn it over, either in Louisiana or here. So I ordered a set of push rods. They came in. Of course, the way things always go for me, the push rods were not the right size. So I get another set of push rods ordered, and they come in and they are actually the right size. I throw a push rod in it thinking, worst case scenario, this thing is going to either work or it's not. So I throw a push rod in it and set everything back up, adjust the valves, and it runs perfect now. I really think that rod got bent because it was hydrolocked, and now that it's replaced, it's fine. The engine is still old, it's tired, it has blow-by, but overall, it really runs well. It doesn't smoke. It's got some binder oil leaks, valve cover gaskets, the oil pan gasket, things like that, but the car runs very well. Actually, if you turn it on, the air conditioner still comes on. I believe if you charged it up, it would probably still blow cold. When you turn on the AC, the compressor kicks on. It seems okay. So that's progress. Now, what the mechanic told me was that he drove the car to the gas station and that the transmission was acting up. He said that the transmission probably had water in it and it needed to be rebuilt. So I had the car towed home. And we only have a few weeks here in the Keys that it's suitable to work on anything outside, much less in the summer. It's just too hot for me anyway at my age with asthma and some other health issues. So the car really sat. I started it, let it run every month or two, but I haven't done much with it. In the process, since he told me that the engine had water in it, I said, well, let me see if I can buy a machine to flush it out, because I have watched some other channels that do flood cars. I've watched Randy from Auto Auction Rebuilds and Big Al's Bike and Auto, who's not far from me up in Homestead. I've watched those guys flush out flooded transmissions and be successful at it. They would still work afterwards. Now, are they going to last 20,000 miles? I don't know, but they get them to where you could move the car. When I got the Impala back, you had to floor it to get it to move at all. The torque converter wasn't engaging. It was really not behaving. So I put it inside the carport, put the new carport up, obviously, which I didn't film. I'm going to just say this. I suck at YouTube. I really do. I have done an entire project and fixed a flood damaged car since this all started. I'm driving that car now. I didn't even take a picture of fixing it. I'm going to do a short video on it just to show you guys kind of what I did and what the costs and things were involved. But I suck at doing this. I don't video anything. I have to be in a very, very certain mindset and mood to want to work on anything. And most of the time when I want to do that, I don't want to fool with all this apparatus and having to have mics and cameras and tripods and all of that. So, yeah, I apologize. I'm sorry. I didn't film 97% of this stuff. So, I went on Facebook Marketplace and I bought one of the transmission flush machines that mechanic shops use. I got it for $50. I'll throw a picture of it in here. And that machine actually does work. It's fine. It came with all the hoses, all the connectors. In the midst of this, not that it matters at all, but my job assignment at work changed. I used to have 1, 2, 3 days a week during the week off where I could work on things and get things done around the house. Now I work banker's hours, which is great for my family time because I'm home more, but now every day that I'm home, everyone else is home too. So I don't get a lot accomplished on projects and cars and things that I want to do because I'm minus 2 to 3 days a week that I had to commit to that before when nobody was here and nothing else was going on. So it's good and it's also not good. So that happened, and then the car still sat. I cranked it from time to time. I was gone for almost 3 months for a work class. Still started the car when I got back. It fired right up, runs good. Today, everybody's out of town. My wife and son are visiting family out of state. It's just me at home. I went yesterday and bought 5 gallons of transmission fluid. I said, I am going to get this done. So I go outside and drag out everything out to the car, and I get set up and I lay under the car with a wrench and try to disconnect the transmission cooler lines, which is how you plumb in the flush machine. And I don't have the freaking wrench to fit the line wrench to fit on that line. It won't work with a regular closed end wrench, and it won't work with vice grips. The connectors are rusty, everything is rusty, and so I'm irritated by this point. I didn't video any of this. I was pissed off, and I said, since I'm sitting here and I can't get these lines off, I went on Amazon, I ordered the line wrenches so I have them in the future. I said, let me just check this transmission fluid, because usually when a transmission has water in it, the transmission fluid turns into pink slime. Essentially, the stuff from Ghostbusters 2 that was in the sewer, that's what it looks like when transmission fluid has water in it. So I have the car running, I pull the dipstick, and only the very tip of the dipstick has fluid on it. And it looks clean. There's no rust on the dipstick, there's no water, there's no pink slime. I said, I swear to God, if this thing has been out of transmission fluid for the last 2 years and I haven't been able to move it around because of that, I am going to lose my mind. You have to understand that this car has really become a white elephant to me. I love having it back. I've come really close to thinking about selling it and letting it go. It's very hard here to get any work done, anybody to be, for any amount of money. It doesn't matter how much you want to pay. Nobody wants to work. When you do pay them to do the work, it's not completed the way you would like it to be. It's very difficult, and I don't have time, money, or patience. But I've persevered. I don't have a lot of money tied up in this car, so if it sits there, I guess it sits there. But anyway, I digress. So I get my brand new 5-gallon pail of transmission fluid and put some in a cup and pour it into the transmission, and I get it up to at least the add mark on the dipstick. And I get in the car and throw it in drive, and it immediately goes into drive. I put it in reverse and it immediately goes into reverse. I pull the dipstick, no pink slime, no nothing. It didn't have any fluid in it. None. Zero. Now, who knows how much damage I did to the transmission moving it around without fluid in it. I don't know why the mechanic didn't find that it had no fluid in it. Neither here nor there. I paid him to get it running. He did that job, and he did it for an extremely fair price. But one would think. But, you'd also think that I checked the freaking fluid. So here we are. We can be sucked together, I guess. So the car now moves just fine. It has no brakes, none, zero. So I also, in the meantime, have done a couple of other things to the car. First, I vacuumed out the trunk. I took everything out of the trunk, the spare tire, all of the crap that was in the back, and I vacuumed out the trunk. That's the good news. The bad news is when I got done, there's no trunk anymore. The entire trunk floor was in the vacuum cleaner. It had a rubber mat in the trunk, had been leaking water over the years. So I gotta get trunk floor pans that can be cut out and welded in fairly easy. I think they're about $150 for a new set of floor pans for the trunk, but just another thing. So I also have in the remnants of the old trunk, actually sitting on top of the new gas tank, I have a brake set for the car. So I ordered from Pirate Jack. They are not a sponsor. I have no sponsors, but I ordered a full disc brake conversion for the front wheels of the car. That's going to give me power discs in the front. It came with the booster, the brackets, the calipers, the rotors, everything all in a really nice kit with good instructions on how to do it. And I also ordered everything that I need to do in order to be able to rebuild the back drum brakes. So that's going to give me, hopefully, fingers crossed, when I have time to do that, it's going to give me functioning brakes, and then the car will be drivable. So as I see, my gimbal battery is running dead, like always, because nothing's been charged since the last time I used this stuff. What's going to happen in the future? Well, we have this update video. In about a week, you're going to get another video that shows the car outside the carport running. It's going to show me taking the old vinyl top off so that the rotted, rusty roof can get some air and dry out. And then from there, we're going to address some rust issues, put some rust proofing on, some primer, and try to at least slow that process. And then the next big thing will be getting the brakes done. If I can get the brakes done where the car will drive, I'll be way closer to where I want to be with this project than I am right now. And maybe it will give me the energy to have a little momentum going forward. I cannot promise you that it won't be another week or year before you get another video, but I'm going to do my best to get you some videos from time to time, at least until the summer kicks in and it's too hot to work on the car. My neighbor did say that if I traded places with one of his cars, I could use his air-conditioned garage to do the brakes. So I'll probably take him up on that. I just need to get an extra set of hands, somebody that's maybe done it before, to come and give me a hand with it. And then hopefully we'll have the car running, driving, and stopping. And from there, the rest of it can be dealt with. The bodywork, the interior, this, that, the other thing, all that stuff can be managed once the car functions as what it is, a car. So I'm also going to do a quick video later on the rebuild I did on the flood car from the hurricanes up in the Tampa area. Again, there's no supporting documents, video, or anything else for that, but I'll go through the car and what I did to it and what it cost in case anybody's interested. If you're still watching this channel for some reason, thank you very much, and I will see you next time.